Welcome, welcome everybody back to Therapreneur Chats. So we are going to try to make a couple of these a little bit shorter than our last ones. And Tamara and I have been talking through subjects to cover. So we're going to start by talking about what's most pressing for each of us. And right now, what's most pressing for me is launch, because I am in the, I'd probably say, middle stage of launch right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say, welcome to hearing all the secrets as Amber prepares for a big launch. A lot has gone into it, right? And for people who don't really know, what you put into your runway and the free training series, can I ask you, what are the things that you've planned inside the launch before you actually open your cart?
Well, every single launch, Chantel and I start by saying, we definitely don't need to do as many trainings as we did last time. We're both like, for sure, definitely don't. And then somehow things evolve. And now every single time we have more trainings than the time before. So we have 6 free trainings this time.
Wow.
Is that right? Is it 6 or is it 8? No, it's 8. Yep, it's 8. It's 8. I lied. It's 8. I think that's right.
I thought it was 4.
No.
There's sneaky extra ones.
Yeah, we expanded. So here's why I would not recommend this, especially early on.
Yeah.
But I'm really trying to do just one major launch this year, which means that I am selling 2 to 4 products during that launch, depending on how you look at it.
Amazing.
So it's multiple launches really at the same time. So the first 3 trainings are really for anybody on my list. It's all about building up the dream and getting really clear on what you want your vision to look like, practical parts that you need to know to make that happen. And then the third one is all about online income for therapists, because I just keep hearing therapists really interested in that and almost like wanting to bypass doing a private practice altogether. So I thought, let me put that one at the front end so that they can get clear on if that's the next right step, or if moving online is the next right step, or private pay, whatever. And then we have 2 more for people starting their online therapy practice. And I will be helping 99% of them for free, and 1% hopefully will purchase step by step to work with me for 8 weeks. And then we have 3 on marketing to private pay clients, and 99% of people will get what they need from the free. Hopefully 1% will buy the 12-week program marketing intensive. So those are the 2 primary things that I'm selling out of this launch.
That's amazing. So do you run step by step and the marketing intensive concurrently, or do they go one after the other?
No, concurrently. I find that I just work better doing the same kinds of things at the same time. So when I'm in launch mode, I want to be in launch mode. And when I'm in teaching mode, I just want to be in teaching mode. I don't like doing them at the same time. My brain doesn't work like that.
Yeah, amazing. So the kind of intensity keeps the focus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I mean, that was something else that I wanted to ask about. Like in the launch runway, I've never done anything that long. You do a lot of training, but it's also quite a long lead up to opening the doors as well. So how do you stay focused on that? Is it the intensity? Do you maintain intensity throughout?
When I first started, a shorter sales window worked better because I really couldn't maintain that level of intensity. And I would, by the end, be like, I'm freaking tapped out. I don't want to send another email. I don't want to write another email. I'm done. But now what I'm finding is when I can spread it out, I can take better care of myself during the launch. So this morning I went to the gym, and, we're going to go for a hike later. So it feels like expanding it is working better for me. I'm still going to be tapped out by the end. I'm going to be like, can I just teach already? This is a lot of work. But when I was doing crunched launches, I was just not taking good care of myself. It was all I could think about 24/7.
Yeah. I think that's been a change over the last few years as well. People also need a bit longer to make the decision, and they want to spend a bit more time with you. And not you specifically, but anyone in any kind of buying decision, we used to have a 4-day cart, and now I can't remember the last time I decided to buy something in 4 days, you know?
No, I agree. And I'm wondering, this is sort of related to launch. I was just talking to my own coach about this. She's like, oh my gosh, Amber, that's a long cart open. I'm like, I know. But people are taking longer to buy. And then I started wondering, is it just because they are in content overwhelm? There's just so much free stuff out there that they really need longer to build trust before they're willing to invest? And or is it related to email open rates, that people are just not attending to their email as much, maybe because they're getting too much of it? And so, sometimes I would close a cart and 2 weeks later, somebody would be like, I just saw your email and can I get in or whatever? And it seems like, even though it looks like open rates are higher because of the Apple blah, 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 blah updates, I think open rates are really truly lower and people are checking their email less. And so maybe you need a longer period of time before they're even going to get to those sales emails.
Absolutely. I mean, I was thinking about, apart from the fact that there are like, there's more emails maybe out there. But also like, I think people are on more email lists,
Mm-hmm.
Especially, therapists that are on our list. I think that, a few years ago, maybe I was on a few people's lists, 3, 4, 5, don't know how I ended up there, right? And now I'm literally on, I don't know, 40 people's lists, something like that. And they all go into a folder. And then when I can't sleep at night or I haven't got something to read on a Sunday, I go into the folder and I read them. So if you send me something on Tuesday and it's for Wednesday, I'm probably not going to see it in time. And I think a lot of people do that because maybe not only are people on more lists because they know that there are going to be good offers and they're going to learn things, because like a lot of emails are really high value. A lot of emails, it's not just like people are emailing rubbish, right?
Mm-hmm,
like we work really hard on our emails. There are stories, there are blogs, there are podcasts, there are, lessons in there. There's so much stuff that I learned just from emails. But I think people are also a bit more savvy about like how to manage that and how to manage their time.
Yeah, I agree. And that's what I do too. All of my subscription-based emails go into one folder. And the truth is, I don't often look at that one folder. I usually have 1 or 2 people that I follow that I actively receive their emails when they send them out. And then I just can't keep up with more than that. So I've even been thinking about, well, number one, strategy pivot during this launch. There's always some pivot. Is I'm going to see if we have the bandwidth to get people on text reminders for the trainings. So we're going to see if we can make that happen, because I know that I only give my phone number to people that I want updates from, whereas I give my email to a lot of people because I want whatever the freebie is,
Right.
So I'm going to try that out. And then I was just thinking this morning, because when you're in launch, you think through like all the things that could be better in your business. I was thinking this morning, it's been sort of conventional wisdom that you should email weekly or at least every other week to maintain a relationship with your peeps so that they're warm. I'm wondering if that's the way that we should be doing it right now, because when I get an email every single week from someone, I don't pay attention because I'm like, oh, I'll get an email from them next week. But there are some people who never email me unless they have an offer. And then I know like, oh, I want to pay attention. What is it that they have? I'm even thinking about splitting my list and doing an experiment and seeing like, all right, I'm going to email this half weekly and see what happens during the next launch. I'm going to email these folks only when I have something that is an offer. Just see what the open rates look like, trying a different strategy.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've sort of done that, but not intentionally. When I had a small list at the beginning in the first year, I used to send a weekly blog out. And I know that this happens like when you have a smaller list, you have higher open rates. When you have a bigger list, you get smaller open rates. You get, the open rates are lower. But consistently got 60, 70% open rates when I had a weekly blog.
Holy cow.
The first year. But I had a very small list, under 1,000 people, right? So I had a small list. Now I've got a much bigger list. And I would say 30 to 40% is pretty average for me. And I don't email more than once a month unless I have an offer. But I never had a 60 or 70% open rate since then.
Isn't
So
that
I
interesting?
don't know, but that could also be the change. It could also be like, I think at the beginning, maybe I was saying something a bit new or, a bit fresh. And now there's plenty of people saying, we're all saying this, like lots of people say what I say, so I think there's probably lots of reasons for that, but I think it's kind of interesting to I think that would be really cool to split the list and be like, or even ask people, would you like to only hear from me when I've got an offer? Would you like to hear from
So
me regularly?
I need to go back in and look at that data because I did that.
Oh,
Tarzan K talked about something like that, where people could get a
yes.
digest or whatever. And I was like, oh, that's a good idea. And I was shocked. Of course, I can't remember the specifics, but I was shocked by how many people were like, yes, please only email me when you have an offer. And I was like, really? So that's very interesting. They aren't looking for a give me valuable content and earn my trust. And then eventually I'll buy from you. They're like, listen, just tell me when you've got something.
That is so interesting. And I wonder if it's also because people know how to find the content that they need at the time that they need it now.
That's a really good thought. Yeah, that's a really good thought.
Mm.
And if I was doing a better job of putting my content on my website, which is something I'm trying to do more of, then they could even better know, well, if I need this, I can just go to the website and look. They wouldn't need me delivering it to their email box every day or every week. You know what I mean?
Well, you have this really unique aspect to your business, which is an enormous Facebook group that is referenceable. And because of the way it's very well organized, because of the way that it's very well organized, it is referenceable. So you can search for things and you can find a post and then many, many, resources and links and things like that. So that's kind of a unique aspect that, I know it feels like there are lots of Facebook groups, but there aren't very many like that on this particular topic.
Right.
And so there are also people can also always find your content in there.
Yeah.
So that's also really cool. It also means you've got this massive bank of content that could
it's wild.
go on your website.
Wild. So relatedly, so we were talking about how do you take care of yourself during a launch? And one of the things that I tend to do is I often will buy a course during a launch. And then
about launching or something else?
Whatever.
Okay.
I always get in this frame during launches, it drives Chantel crazy, I'm sure, because I'm like, oh, we should do this. We should do this. And it could be related to the launch, but it could just be related to, the next 3 to 5 years of the business because my brain is in idea mode. And so I've been really into I need to organize the back end of my business better because we talked about, there's money being left on the table because things aren't organized the way that they could be to optimize everything, time, income, impact, all the things. So part of the way I take care of myself is by having something that I can use to procrastinate doing launch related tasks. So if I'm not in the mood to do a launch related task, I still have a fun task to do that is still moving the needle forward in my business instead of what will otherwise happen, which is me clicking on the Facebook group 500 times, wondering why nobody's commented on my post. So it gives me another place to put my focus and still be making forward progress.
I love that because when we're in teaching mode, when we're in launch mode, when we're in sharing mode, we're also it's this this opportunity, isn't it? It's this, and that's where we get the ideas and the freshness. And I think that's really important aspect of launch. So when we're talking about how do you take care of yourself and you're going on hikes and you're having rest time, but I think that the learning and the ideas and the inspiration is also kind of the freshness of that is kind of the beauty of launch. It's not just an exhausting experience. It's we get so many new ideas and try things out and experiment. And so that totally makes sense to me that you do a course. I did the other day, I felt really stuck with everything. And then I logged into, I bought a bundle recently. I had some courses and I did 6 of them in 2 days. I just binged them, and they're totally not related to anything to do with my business, but I still had loads of ideas afterwards. It's
Yes.
like
Yes.
when you're
Yes.
creating something, we have to go back to listening, right?
That is just going to be the meta lesson of this whole video, honestly, because when I'm thinking back to my best launches, I was always reading something or learning something, and it didn't have to be related to online therapy at all. In fact, it never has been, but it might be related to productivity or to dreaming big or to, taking aligned action, something that was inspiring to me. And then that pulls into how I, bring myself to the trainings and stuff like that. And yesterday, by the way, you guys, I was not feeling it. We had our first of the live training events, and I was like, I don't want to do it. And I pumped on some music, and I have a little playlist that I like to listen to right beforehand. I danced around the house, and before I knew it, I was in the mood and back in the spirit of things. So I think stuff that gets you and keeps you in that excited idea place is super duper helpful for the long term of the launch, and also like acutely right before you go to do your live events. If you're doing something like that, just cranking up the tunes that get you excited and in the space.
Absolutely amazing. So before we wrap up, I'd love to ask you, was there a moment in the training that was like, the sweet spot of like, this is why I do this? Did you have one yesterday?
Yeah.
Can you tell us about
For
it?
sure. Yeah, I don't think I'd be good at these trainings if I didn't have people there live with me, because I'm always asking the pulse of the people. So, I'm like, does this sound right? Does this feel familiar to you? Does this resonate with you? And then looking down at the chat and just seeing it blow up because everybody is feeling the same kind of way. And then I'm like, yes, okay, great. So it is true that all of these therapists are wanting to live a bigger, bolder life. It is true that they're all exhausted and tired. It is true that they want to be generous with their time, but they want to take better care of themselves. So it just gets me like hyped up and back into that service-oriented spirit rather than the performance of, sure hope this is going well. You're in it, you're not
Absolutely.
watching it.
Oh, isn't it so amazing? I love that like visual of like the chat blowing up, and that someone is, when I hear you say that, it's so clear to me that your business, your launch, your model, that everything that you've built is impact driven. And that's so like, this is why we do this, so purpose driven, so value aligned. It's so much about like, these are the reasons why we do this, and that kind of gives you the motivation. So I think that's a really lovely thing for people to hear as well, because launch can just look like this really slick machine.
Sure can. I mean, we could have spent this time talking about all the emails and the organization and all of that stuff, but really all of that's just in support of making some sort of impact, doing something that is helpful. What a great
That's a
place to
really
stop.
lovely note to end on. Yeah.
All right, my friends, I hope that this is helpful for you. Please do drop your comments, questions, reactions in the chat. These videos are getting shaped by what you need. So let us know what that is. Bye. Take care.